Let's hear breakfast tacos. Yeah, I'm gonna hear breakfast tacos is tired of the left and the right. I'm gonna challenge breakfast tacos here.
A position on the spectrum of government. Hello, internet. I
haven't reviewed one of breakfast tacos videos in a while.
A frustrated centrist, and I need to vent. I feel like I'm wedged between two clown cars careening off cliffs on opposite sides. On the far right, we've got folks denying election results and banning books. On the left, we've got speech police and cancel culture mobs. And here I am in the middle, yelling, "Hit the brakes" to both sides. I'm not some wishy-washy fence sitter. I do have strong beliefs. I voted for Kamala. Yes, I proudly voted for a black female Democrat.
I thought she was Indian.
I fiercely support LGBTQ plus rights and equal treatment.
Equal treatment? What are you talking about?
Man, I believe in real...
What the hell is a gay right anyway?
Liberal values like...
How can a right be gay?
Civil liberties, democracy, and decency. And because of those values, I'm equally appalled by the authoritarians of the far right and the far left.
Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, breakfast tacos, but a rights-based system is authoritarian. Notice how a right is a belief, and if someone, it's an unjustified belief, by the way. A right is a belief, and if people don't believe in rights, guess what? You're forcing your beliefs onto other people who don't believe in rights. So, if authoritarianism simply means, among, a variety of, attributes, so let's say on the baseball card, at least one of those attributes are using force to deploy your belief structures in basically the operating system of society. So you don't get away from authoritarianism. Nobody does.
This isn't the rant of a partisan. It's the rant of someone who's just fed up with the state of political discourse in America. So buckle up, because I have a lot of frustration to get off my chest. First, let's clear something up. Centrism is not fence sitting. Being a centrist doesn't mean I'm indecisive.
Yeah, it is though. Centrism is forget it.
Or have no convictions. It means that I occupy a position on the spectrum of government power and liberty, one that values balance. Think of political ideology as a seesaw of authority. The far right wants to use government to impose conservative moral rules.
So does the far left. What are you talking about, dude? What kind of bullshit is this? The far left uses the government, uses force to implement all sorts of rules like DEI, like equality, like affirmative action, people getting into college based on their skin color. What are you saying, dude?
While claiming to hate big government.
That's true. There are these classical liberal... This is where breakfast tacos could probably get a little more nuanced here, is the right wing in America historically up to this point, and still is, at least the right that's presented in the media as the right, they're classical liberals, dude. They all worship liberty above all. So you're right. They argue small government, but then they hijack the government. Someone like me, a proper right-wing lunatic, acknowledges that I want the use of government. I want the use of force to implement my ethical systems.
And the far left wants to use institutions and social pressure to enforce progressive moral codes while claiming to champion freedom and justice. I say both extremes are too heavy-handed. As a centrist, I believe in limited but effective government, enough to protect rights and provide a safety net, but not...
Yeah, rights. It's like...
Not so much that it micromanages every aspect of our...
This is like the paradox of any form of like democracy, even a limited sense of democracy, a representative republic, a constitutional republic with voting. You still have a problem here, Breakfast Tacos, because if I don't know if you guys saw the debate between Planet Peterson and Andrew Wilson a couple months ago, but it was about whether or not Christians can basically should Christianity be in government? Well, it's such an obvious answer that it already is, and it's totally fair that it is. So the problem here is someone like Breakfast Tacos has this sort of utopian view where you could maintain this paradigm of rights and protected rights and privileges and amenities and all these things, and also maintain some sort of balance so that the power structure isn't fully populated ever by one side or the other. Well, no, the nature of the system itself is that it can be populated by the uniformity of a belief. Totally cohesive body who shares in-group preferences, outcomes, theological views, etc., can just occupy the government, and there can't be anything wrong with that from a centrist position.
Lives or crushes individual freedom. Centrism, to me, is about finding equilibrium. It's saying no to authoritarianism, whether it's wrapped in a flag or in woke slogans.
Yeah, but that's another paradox. The performative contradiction around the corner is when you fight authoritarianism, you're matching or superseding the power. So you become the authority to fight authoritarianism.
Centrism is often caricatured as sitting on the sidelines or splitting the difference. Wrong. Centrism is its own stance. It's about principled moderation. I'll side with the left on some issues. I support trans rights and racial justice, and
What the hell is racial justice, dude? How is that a centrist position? Racial justice? You literally just admitted that there's some type of justice that's based on race alone.
Here, Bill.
Thank you. Here, Bill. Thank you. Thank you, Kissy Cat.
side with the right on other issues. I support the freedom of speech, even for speech I hate.
How about, what if it's not real children? Is that free speech, tacos?
But overall, I'm not...
Where do your principles come from other than, like, you looking at a menu? You might as well add in your principles to every menu in America and be like, yeah, that's where my principles come from. From McDonald's, the menu.
Picking a team,
He's just a progressive, yeah, it is.
picking values.
Yeah, you're just arbitrarily picking values, and they're ambiguous. What the hell is a gay right? What is a trans right? What is a right, by the way, from your paradigm? What the hell is a right? What is this?
My guiding
This is relative.
star is liberty with responsibility.
Where do you get responsibility from? Okay, that's the problem. Problem with the right liberals and the left liberals is they want liberty and they don't want any responsibility. They want freedom, but they don't want any duties. They want feminism and they want all the perks of liberty in a society, but they don't want a comparable set of duties to match the men. Not the same duties, but parallel duties. They don't want that. For justice, racism.
Against
Government
whites.
That's right.
should preserve maximum freedom for the individual while stepping in where needed to prevent harm or protect the vulnerable.
Yeah, why? It's like, that's not even consistent with your worldview, dude.
That doesn't fit neatly in a partisan box, and that's fine by me. In the immortal words of, well, pretty much every centrist ever, I don't care if an idea is left or right. I care if it works and respects our rights.
Rights. It's just so, I just can't. Breakfast Tacos, I can't even believe you've been in the sort of world of debate for so long, and you just still say rights as if you can justify this fiction. By the way, your own epistemic system, and I talked to you enough and seen your debates and your positions enough to know, your system for your epistemic justification for what exists ends up being data-based and empirical. Well, I'm sorry, Breakfast Tacos, but your own view on rights would be just as illusory as a Christian's belief in angels.
So no, I'm not on the fence. I'm on the side of civil liberties and common sense. And from where I stand, I have a clear view of two extremes, and neither looks good. Now let's talk about free speech, because it's at the core of my frustration with both extremes. Free speech is a constitutional right, a bedrock of American liberty. The far right and the far left.
Yeah, but under your view, you can still change that. Like, there's no reason why you can't change that. In fact, you'd admit that there's even thresholds at which you abandon those things.
Have very different ideas of which speech they want to shut down, but both seem increasingly eager to play censor. Newsflash.
I like censorship.
In America, you cannot just silence speech you hate by yelling the loudest or by passing a sketchy law. The only way to truly revoke free speech rights would be a constitutional amendment or a radical change in the Supreme Court doctrine, which would be a massive shift. In other words, you can't cancel the First Amendment by mob pressure alone. I'm all for challenging and criticizing harmful speech. That's more speech, which is healthy, but...
Yeah, I don't see a difference between mob pressure and using the same mob pressure, but just giving them an outlet. All you need is majority, right, for any given thing you want. And if you are protecting the system of voting or you're protecting the current paradigm, the current system of how policies come to be, it's not inconsistent for a bunch of people to get together and limit free speech, right? It's not inconsistent with the freedom. I should have the freedom, right? According to your own model, you're a centrist, right? According to your own model, I should have the freedom to find my in-group philosophy, my in-group belief structures, and gather those people and multiply those people and go forth through the current system and put limitations on free speech. For instance, make a law where you cannot wear any form of pornography or nudity on your shirt. Now, Breakfast Tacos, where would you stand with something like that? Are you okay with someone wearing a big t-shirt that has pornography on it at like a mall? I mean, you can't really demonstrate the, quote, empirical harm from your view. That's free speech, right?
What we're seeing now is mobs from both sides trying to suppress speech and ideas rather than rebut them. And that's dangerous. The far left needs to remember that the First Amendment doesn't have a hate speech exception. Ugly, offensive speech is generally protected precisely because giving government or tech oligarchs the power to decide what's allowed is a slippery slope.
I don't think it's a slippery slope because free speech has nothing to do with what private companies can do and limit and not limit. It has to do with the government itself, right? Which the slippery slope is whether or not corporations can write law essentially with money. And I think the answer to that is probably. But this is where the right makes a mistake. They hear this and they see the left, right? All the modern conservatives who are classical liberals. They think, well, the left is doing this terrible thing, Ben Shapiro, I've always been on the side of free speech. It's like, I might not agree with what you're saying. It might be disgusting and abhorrent, but I will die. I will die to defend your freedom to say it. That's a mistake. because you get into the category of public indecency and suddenly you're defending debauchery and you're just calling it free speech. The problem, the mistake that the right wing made is they were like, no, the left does that. We don't want to be like them. Well, no, the left are in a sense based. They're based in, they have an arbitrary set of blasphemy laws, codes in their head, in their culture, and they want to implement them using the government. And then the right wing's like, that is so bad, you guys are crazy. Instead of going, you know what, we should do that. You got the right idea. You have the wrong system. You have a broken meta-ethical system. But what you're doing, I understand. You're taking your broken ethical system and you're saying, let's use the government to enforce our decency codes. They just think it's indecent for us to make fun of gay people. It's the only difference. We think it's indecent to have a gay pride parade. You think it's indecent for us to make fun of the gay pride parade. The right wing failed because they go, no, we have to, I don't like that, but we're going to defend the degenerate pride parade in front of our children. Because America. What a terrible L.
The far right needs to remember it too. I mean, these are the same folks who cry about being censored on social media while also trying to ban classroom discussions of gender and race. Both sides are guilty of hypocrisy on this issue. The bottom line is that free speech is non-negotiable. You don't defend it only for the speech you like. You defend it as...
It's actually the opposite. What they've done in schools and places of work is they've actually made it impossible to talk openly about gender and race. It's actually the opposite, Breakfast Tacos. It's not the right wing who's trying to stop that. I mean, I don't even agree with what you call the right wing for the most part. They're classical liberals, but they made it so it's the left side that made company policies and public policies where you have to walk on eggshells. You can't even talk openly about, I don't know, the percentage of convictions for black offenders, right? In comparison to the population that they have in America, the disproportionate amount. And no, it's not a skewed number. Look at the convictions. That's what they say. They say, no, those aren't the convictions. Those are just arrests. No, look at the convictions. Can't talk openly about that.
Especially for the speech you despise. Or you really don't believe in it at all. And if you want to change America's free speech protections, good freaking luck. You'd have to amend the Constitution or stack the courts. Neither a Twitter mob nor an executive order can override the First Amendment. So can we all accept that robust debate, not silencing, is the American way? Speaking of silencing, let me give you some examples of how both extremes are abusing power and liberty in their own authoritarian ways. The far right today is not the Barry Goldwater small government right of yesteryear. It's become something far more authoritarian and frankly unhinged. Here are just a few ways the far right is damaging America. They're subverting democracy through
democracy, dude.
Election denial.
Dude, democracy itself, if you were some sort of purist about democracy, the far right could just have a bunch of babies, keep those children within their viewpoints and their values, and you basically have it in the bag. So it's funny that like democracy is always seen, especially from the left side, as this some sort of like beautiful thing we ought to protect, and without looking at the consequences of democracy to the fabric of civilization itself, how broken it is, how stupid it is. It assumes now that everyone's vote, just by them breathing, they have the capacity or the honor or the privilege of trading their violence tokens in exchange for a vote and influencing policy that's backed by someone else's muscle and gun. Why is that a good idea? You just assume it is, right? Everyone just assumes it. Well, it's good, right? Democracy is good, and the other thing is scary and bad, and so, no. And don't give me this, it's the, what is the phrase? Out of all the systems, whatever, democracy is the best evil one or something. It's just such a cope.
We all witnessed the fiasco after the 2020 election. A sitting president and his loyalists refusing to accept the results, stoking a mob that literally attacked the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. To this day, a majority of Republican voters still falsely believe the 2020 election was stolen. Think about that. 2/3 of one of our major parties.
By the way, the establishment of the independence of America was authoritarian. It wasn't like they didn't go to voting first.
Jimbob. Oh, no. Free speech in your country is easy to subvert.
It is.
Label language such as threats as violence, and now you can stop people's speech if it is declared violent.
Yeah, that's true. So we just disagree on what types of speech. You know? I think how you dress is a type of speech. I think gay pride parade is a type of speech. There's no way I'm going to sit here and go, you know what? I'm going to defend their right to completely destroy the fabric of decency and customs in America in public, because they have the right to walk around with a dildo on their face. They have the right. By golly, it is their right. No.
Is living in an alternate reality, convinced our democracy doesn't work unless their guy wins. This big lie cult isn't just some fringe, it's the GOP orthodoxy now. To the point that Republicans like Liz Cheney were ousted from party leadership for refusing to go along with Trump's lie. Nothing screams authoritarian like trying to overturn a free speech election and punishing those who tell the
How did Breakfast Tacos determine if the election was stolen or not? He didn't.
Truth. The far right's election denialism has eroded trust in our democratic institutions, inspired voter suppression laws, and even led to death threats against election officials. You can't have a free country if one side only accepts democracy when they win. And then there's censorship and book bans. Yes, censorship, the very thing right-wingers often accuse the left of, is running rampant in red states.
Well, I mean, that's a good thing. I mean, so, you know, the only problem there is the inconsistency. So if you're right wing, stop taking an absolute free speech approach. Stop pretending that censorship is bad because the left does it. No, censorship is done by the left and you don't agree with what they censor or why they censor. That doesn't follow that censorship is bad. That's a mistake on the right wing.
The far right has been on a book banning spree in schools and libraries, targeting any material that doesn't fit into their moral or political agenda. They've yanked books about racism, history, and LGBTQ plus characters off the shelves. In fact,
yeah, why is it necessary to teach kids about butt sex, dude? How is that a value?
Should death threats be allowed, tacos?
Should death threats be allowed? It's free speech, right?
Attempts to ban
It's not harmful.
or restrict books
That is a contradiction, Justin. He's all, yeah, free speech. That doesn't harm people. Threatening to do something.
soared by 65% in 2023, the highest level ever recorded by the American Liberty Association. Almost.
Yeah, so start a private library. Yeah, this idea that if there's a public library, you don't get a say in what the decency of the library is. Of course you can. That's majority rule. I'm fine with that. Establish a majority or start a private. Either or. You can do that as a right-winger, too. Just don't, you know, it's kind of I would say it would be unfair, you know. If there's some degenerate book missing from the library, you can get the book yourself. It doesn't follow that because you like degenerate books, they should be in the library.
Almost half of the most challenged books were about LGBTQ themes or race, often attacked by organized conservative pressure groups. We're talking about novels like Mouse, a Pulitzer-winning Holocaust graphic novel, or children's books with two dads. Suddenly,
there's no such thing as two dads. I thought you were a centrist. I thought you were reasonable, Breakfast Tacos. What the hell is a two dad, please? Two dads?
These are seen as dangerous.
It's not dangerous. It's just an inversion. Doesn't make sense. Two dads doesn't make sense. There's no such thing as two dads, bro.
In Florida and Texas, especially, these book bans have gone off the rails. This is government or school board literally controlling what ideas people can access.
Good. Why not? I don't understand what's the problem. If a school is local and the majority of the people in the town are local and they're the ones informing what they want in schools, I thought you were centrist. I thought they, being their own sovereign group, right? An extension of an identity, an extension of an individual of individuals. Why couldn't they determine on their own what kind of things they want in the classroom or not? I don't understand. What's the problem? Aren't you denying their right to govern autonomously over their own local school and what it does and doesn't do? Why are you stepping in? It sounds like authoritarianism, Taco. Sounds like you're in a little bit of a performative contradiction. So, Taco, are you willing to use force to stop the local town from customizing their own curriculums? Sounds like a violation of liberty.
The definition of authoritarian censorship.
No, authoritarian censorship is you're in a performative contradiction. You have to use authoritarianism to stop what you call authoritarian censorship. Do you understand?
It's painfully ironic. The same
it is.
Free speech warriors on the right who howled.
Censorship is free speech, bro. If I ban something in my chat, that's free speech. Kicking someone out of your private restaurant for any reason you want is free speech. So you're going, well, I'm totally for free speech, except for the act of eliminating certain things. How is that not free speech? Of course it's free speech. You're a father. In your house, if your kid says something and you step in and go, no, that's not allowed to be said in this house, of course you're violating their, quote, free speech. Now you're getting to the question of whether the government should do it. Well, they already do, and they need to. You can't be a free speech absolutist. It's impossible.
When Dr. Seuss estate decided to pull a couple of...
You know what I mean? You can't be a free speech absolutist. Printing money, your own money, would be free speech. So it's creative. It's expressive.
Its own books are now chairing state-directed purges of library shelves. You can't have it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's only a minor distinction in my view, and this could be debated, public versus private, because whatever you call private needs some sort of public arbiter. So there's nothing ever really private, because the term private, absent a government, would just be purely just force and whoever can win in a fight. But private, in the modern sense now, people argue, it's funny, the libertarian, centrists, anarchists argue for private property. They always use this term property, private property. Well, no, you have a system of uniform or standardized violence that processes the violation of private property. So like, it doesn't even make any sense to say private property because you're already referring to something not private. Otherwise, true private property is just dudes with guns against other dudes with guns, whoever's willing to do what it takes to keep what you have.
Both ways, guys. There's also the attacks on LGBTQ plus rights. The far right has also decided that one of its main missions is to police gender and sexuality.
Yeah. What do you mean?
At the expense of Americans' freedom to live.
Yeah, we're going to police your sexuality. If you're attracted to kids, we're going to police you. Okay? Why not?
Promoting category errors through inverting the meanings of words should be considered mental abuse.
Yeah, thank you for that. It is.
Live as themselves. Across the country, a record number of anti-LGBTQ bills have been introduced in state legislatures, over 500 bills in 2023 alone, with dozens becoming law. These laws range from banning transgender kids from...
What's a transgender kid? How can you ban a transgender kid? You can't even tell me what a transgender kid is, Breakfast. That's like saying you're banning a wopschloppy kid. What's a wopschloppy kid? I don't know. There's no referent for it. No idea what we're talking about. Yeah, it's called banning child abuse. Isn't it banned, Breakfast Tacos, that you actually can't tattoo your 5-year-old? Do you think there should be a legal consequence for taking your 5-year-old and giving them a face tattoo of Magic Johnson face? Huh? Oh, you're violating he wants to be Magic Johnson, and he wants to have a procedure that makes his face Magic Johnson-y. He wants to be Magic Johnson, but without the AIDS. You're trying to pass a bill stopping Magic Johnson kids? Unbelievable.
Accessing gender-affirming healthcare, to forbidding trans youth from playing sports, to the infamous...
You mean forbidding developed man bones from crushing, fracturing, breaking the faces of females? You should be ashamed of yourself. You're a father. Oh, I can't believe the far right. They're stopping Timmy from being a Tammy and breaking the face and sending Tiffany into a hospital. I can't believe the far right stopping Timmy from becoming Tammy and terrifying Tiffany. You're insane.
Don't say gay style laws that restrict even mentioning LGBTQ topics in the classrooms.
Why would you talk about homosexuality in a classroom? What is the educational value of teaching kids about perverted activities and sex? How far are you going to take it? What else would you like to include? Attraction to animals?
It's a full-blown legislative crusade to shove LGBTQ people back into the closet.
It was better for them there.
The ACLU counted 508 LGBTQ bills in 2023, and 84 were enacted. An unprecedented wave of state-level repression. Let's be...
Dude, you can't even tell me why any of that's wrong anyway.
Clear. This is using government power to target a vulnerable minority.
Vulnerable? Why would we make laws accommodating the vulnerable minority anyway? It doesn't make any sense. Like, it's not even compatible with the system that you're defending. Who cares? We don't make laws based on exceptions, dude.
To take away people's rights to medical care, free expression, and equal participation in public life. It's cruel and authoritarian. I mean, telling loving parents they can't seek certain medical advice for their trans teen, or telling...
Their trans teen? What's a trans teen, Breakfast? I would love to debate you on this topic. Your entire argument is based on a thing that doesn't exist. Look, I want to make a law based on your reasoning that protects dog owners, right? Who are they're vegan dogs. I want to make sure that these right-wingers never pass a law that violates that vulnerable minority of vegan dogs. And by vegan dogs, I mean parents, owners of dogs that declare on their behalf that the dog is vegan the same way the parents of the troon convinces the kid, oh, you know what I mean? Like, what do you think happens, dude? You have kids, right? Breakfast tacos. One of your kids, let's say you have a son. He's 4. He comes up to you. He says, Dad, I think I'm a girl. I feel like a girl. Now, the reasonable thing, being that you're a logician and you do street epistemology and all this, wouldn't the reasonable thing is to ask your son, how would you know what it's like to be a girl? If you say, I feel like a girl, I would say, how would you know what it feels like to be a girl? Guess what? Your son can't answer that.
Imagine an alternate universe where this is the cover of Nevermind.
Yeah,
Telling
it
teachers
is.
they can't acknowledge that gay people exist because it might influence.
Gay people exist. We acknowledge that. We properly categorize them as dysfunctional. They don't produce for society. They actually need to appeal to and borrow from non-gay people. They're not the norm. We don't build our society around the quirks and kinks of people. Okay? Society is actually built and supported and completely buttressed by straight functional couples. Okay? How far are you going to take this, right? Oh, there's gay people. Cool. Yeah, there's also people who like to bang dogs. There's people who like to stand on trains and publicly masturbate in front of people. We have to acknowledge them, Taka. We don't want to take away their rights to be who they are.
Kids.
We don't care what or who you're attracted to. We care about your actions and the teaching of this to people. Why would we need to teach about all the kinks that everyone has? Well, children, we learned a lot about homosexuals. Time to move over to people who like to diddle old Sega Genesis consoles. It's only fair. They need to know about it.
What's happened to the right-wing mantra of parents?
It's just so stupid.
Rights and not letting Big Brother dictate your family's choices. Apparently, those principles get tossed aside when it comes to LGBTQ folks. The far right isn't about small government at all.
That's right. It shouldn't be.
It's about wielding big government as a hammer to enforce a homogeneous, theocratic version of society.
Sweet.
Banning drag shows, banning pride parades, banning discussion.
Good. Get all the degenerate garbage out of the public. You guys can take your disgusting selves over to an island. I would be willing to take big government and provide your own little degenerate island. Could see it now. Degenerate island. What's the problem? You have your own island. Don't you want your own island to live among your own? Right? Isn't that ideal? No. This is the problem. They don't. They seek the conservative value locations and they infest and they put themselves there and they start poisoning. They start putting up a little flag here. You know, they show up at all the conservative little towns that were built over the years through generations of Christian people. And they look how clean it is. And how well kept and how low crime it is. And they move themselves out of their degenerate cities and they find these little cute conservative towns. And they move to red states. And they, oh, this is beautiful. This could really use a lot of homosexuality. You know, that gazebo is over there is great. That can really use butts. Oh, this is a great little town. Do you guys have parades? I would love to organize a parade where I could wear a dick on my face. This really could use a little bit of touching up. Notice how you guys don't stay in your own places? Notice how you always move to where the well-kept places are?
It's all about fear and control.
So what?
And there's more far-right authoritarian hits. pushing laws to criminalize abortion so that they can...
Yeah, if we think you're killing a human being, we'd like to criminalize that. He says it with like such confusion. You actually want to criminalize a woman completely killing her offspring? I mean, that's crazy. You are just taking this too far. I mean, you really want to be on the side of history that didn't allow Takweefa to dismember her 6-month-old baby inside the womb with a vacuum and a cleaver? You really want to be on that side of history, Jimbo? Yeah, I do.
Control women's bodies, indulging Christian...
Control women's bodies? I'm sorry. Isn't there a body that's removed from the woman? If it's not a body, why is it being removed? That's weird. If it's the woman's body, why is she removing her body from the body? That's weird. Seems like a violation of the law of identity. That's the woman's body. She's all, I don't want my body. You're like, okay, we're going to remove your body. Why are you removing your body? Yeah, because you know it's not your body. It's another body. It's got its own unique DNA structure. It's got its own unique form. It's at the beginning of its stages of development. None of us existed without that initial conception beginning stages. None of us. That was a part of our existence. Isn't it weird that the thing they not call a body actually gives the mother something? That's why you're stopping. You're no longer hearing this rhetoric about a baby being a parasite. That's going to die out. Why? Because they figured out that the fetus, the human being in its early form, actually gives the woman things that it needs, stem cells that it needs. How does that happen if it's not a separate entity that's exchanging nutrients?
Nationalism and flirting with theocracy, damaging the separation of church and state.
There's no separation of church and state.
Demonizing the free press.
By the way, the separation of church and state initially was to protect the church from the state, not the state from the church.
Enemies of the people, a classic authoritarian move, and spreading conspiracy theories that erode trust itself. The far-right's thought leaders literally traffic in nonsense about deep state cabals and QAnon craziness. Some believe a Satan-worshipping people runs everything.
Well, I mean, the people are Satan worshipers. Like, that exists. It's funny how these people think Christians exist everywhere. They're lunatics. They're absolutely wild. They believe in God. They believe in the freaking sky fairy. They believe in Jesus Christ walking on water and all these miracles. It's crazy. They exist, right? You debate them all the time. They make up, like, the majority of a lot of the states, right? So then they're like, the Christian says, oh yeah, there's actually demon. There's the other version, the opposite of us. And they seek power and they seek all these things. And they're like, you idiot. You're a conspiratard. Isn't that weird? How they totally accept that there's the Christian version, right? The Christian theology and its people and its beliefs. They're everywhere. But when we say, oh, there's actually Satanists who actually practice and find these little gatherings and they find positions of power and they do weird shit with each other, they're all, you're crazy, man.
And I wish I were kidding about that. We have Republican candidates openly saying that they might not accept future election results or that they want to revisit freedom of the press. This is scary stuff. In short, the far right is damaging America by undermining democracy.
Undermining democracy. Yeah, like flooding a country or a state with illegal immigrants and letting them vote isn't undermining democracy. Who does that? Who does that? Who's doing that?
censoring knowledge, trampling minority rights, and
Minority rights? What is it? This guy's obsessed with rights.
stoking hatred and division. They rage about freedom, but then they ban books and dictate personal life choices. They claim to love the Constitution.
Dude, a rights-based system is literally a dictation of personal life choices. I can't make it through this whole thing. So obviously we see what's happening here. I mean, it's just not, it can't be defended in a debate without massive contradictions. A rights-based system is quite literally the active, deliberate, guiding force for human behavior, for decision-making, for people's personal decision-making. It's literally actively, if this, then gun. If this, then gun.